What's up, everybody? Your guy on the road here with another Tales from the Road. Tonight, we have Tadpole, as always, in the house.
What's up?
A-
What's up, people?
And we got a new co-host tonight, L29 Richard.
What's going on,
Hey,
guys?
introduce yourself. He, he's a truck driver as well. He's out there in West Virginia. And welcome to the show. It is February 25th, 2026, and we are Tales from the Road. So, this is what we like to do. If you're new to the show, this is a pre-recorded episode. So just bear with us as we go. We might have to pause things and do things, but we're here to send you on a tale for the macabre, the strange, the unusual. And if you're up late at night and you're listening to this stuff, we really appreciate it. If you listen later, we thank you for your time. All right, guys, let's dive right in. L29, since you're new, we'd like you to start off and tell us like what you're into as far as what we're into. Like, I want to know your opinion on how you feel about the strange and the unknown, such as Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, skinwalkers, things of that nature. You don't have to go into every facet of it, but let's hear a little bit from you about what your background is and why you like this kind of conversation.
Well, living up here in West Virginia, I can tell you for damn sure skinwalkers are out here. You don't whistle in the woods. There are rules of Appalachia that we can get into if we want to get into that. But there's just stuff you don't do in the woods out here. Skinwalkers are real. Bigfoot, maybe. That's the big cultural thing around where I'm from down here. A lot of Bigfoot statues everywhere. More about Mothman. UFOs, I've seen them. Ghosts, have had some experiences with that myself, and shadow people. No, you didn't mention it, guy from the road, but angels and demons are real too.
Angels and demons are definitely real. Now,
Okay.
let's talk about I heard you mention something, okay? Appalachian, okay, the whiskey, the moonshine. We all know about the things that go on in these woods. Everybody knows about Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachian Trail. Everybody understands it's a very rural area and it's a very scary area. And me personally, I get the heebie-jeebies when I drive through there. Now, without giving your location and the part of West Virginia that you know of, where in West Virginia do you primarily?
I primarily stay around the Hatfield and McCoy trails.
Say that again.
Primarily stay around the Hatfield and McCoy trails.
Okay, cool. So Hatfields and McCoys, big feud, big family, had feuds for years and years and years and years. I think they finally made up, right? So
You say so.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about something that I heard you say. You talked about let's talk about some rules of the Appalachian Mountains, okay?
Uh-huh.
Why don't you go into why wouldn't I want to walk backwards and whistle? Why don't I want to go to something that's calling my name? Obviously, it's like, well, something's calling your name, you don't go to it. Well, what is the significance of whistling, at night? Just can you go out at night in your yard and just go, whistle, whistle, or is it something whistle back and you whistle and it's a problem? Like, what's the rule on whistling in the woods and why? Tell us why.
Well, it is a beckoning call to skinwalkers, wendigos, and things of that nature out here. It lets them know that, and if you respond to them, especially if they're the ones whistling or making sounds, and you respond, even if you just turn your head slightly in the direction, they know that they've got you, and they will hunt you down. And they feed off the fear.
Okay. But what is your opinion of a wendigo?
So, skinwalkers and wendigos are fairly similar creatures as far as the lore goes. A wendigo is a creature that used to be human that decided to eat human flesh and has gone into a transformation where they become this monster which never can be satiated. They keep wanting to eat. There's just nothing they can do, and they just keep wanting to go after human blood, especially.
Now, where do they stay in those woods? In caves or in the hollers, or where would those wendigos be located? And are they prevalent? I.e., do they show themselves? They only show themselves their victims. They get seen. Like what you know?
A lot of people say that Native American folks have a little bit more sensitivity to it because that's where a lot of the lore from it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're spiritual, religious, or something, you might have some sensitivity to it as well because there is a very thin line from your just normal day to day life driving around and just maybe it's different where you guys are, but out here in West Virginia, it's there's mountains everywhere. It's you drive it, you might pass through a city, but you're all right. Now it's looking down a 200-300 foot drop mountains.
Now, have you ever seen a Wendigo or experienced anything like that, or have you been on the road and maybe seen something that didn't look right on all fours? You know, as you cross the road down there doing your thing with the trucks.
Sure, I mean there's the thing that I'm sure we've all seen, being truck drivers on all fours. Little black dog when you may have been driving out there a little bit too long, but I know that's not what you're talking about. But I've seen some of the creatures that may be considered wraiths or skinwalkers. Wendigo, I don't think I've seen that personally,
How
but
did it make you
I've
feel
definitely
when you saw this unknown entity or creature?
it definitely creeps you out because it's not normal, and even if it tries to pretend to be normal, like the classic stories where they are shapeshifted into deer. Well, a deer isn't going to walk on two legs, for example. And I've seen that before.
Yeah, Ice has a similar episode with a pronghorn out there in Hartley, Texas, which if you guys, tales from the road media at gmail.com, send us your stories, your guy on the road at gmail.com. If you go to Tales from the Road Media Facebook group, there's a picture of what I think is a skinwalker, but I can't be certain. But it was odd. It was on two legs. It was walking. It jumped down. Then I saw the shadow behind it. Let's see, Taphole, what is your view on what, L29 is saying here? Like, you believe in wendigos and stuff like that? And also somebody tell me the significance of do I not whistle at night? Do I whistle at
So,
night? Like,
You can back it if you want. I wouldn't recommend it.
That's your, you got to do it at your discretion. I definitely believe in the stuff. And I'm from Native American heritage, and a lot of my family was Native American, and I definitely do believe in that stuff. I also live in the foothills of Appalachian, and there's just one thing we've always been raised from very young. Don't whistle in the woods at all, but especially don't whistle at night. You don't go out in the woods at night. You make sure your blinds and your curtains are closed because
I'm into that.
because if the way the legends present themselves is if it pops in your window and it sees you and you make eye contact, you acknowledge it now becomes a hunt. And once it becomes a hunt, it never stops until it catches its prey. So that goes along with, if you hear somebody calling your name out in the woods, or you hear somebody whistling or a baby crying or whatever, no, you don't.
now, being from Florida, I can tell you now, and being from the Carolina area, my family, we definitely know about dogmen and we do know about Bigfoot. And I know it's a cultural thing, but I can absolutely tell you with certainty that Bigfoot is absolutely real. I also know there's subsects of Bigfoot. I also know there's different kinds of subsects. And there's dogmen, there's Yetis, there's Oran Pindak. There's the Sasquatch Swamp Ape. I'm telling you, I know for a fact. And that'll be another episode. But I can tell you with empirical evidence I have gathered in Florida that the swamp ape to me is absolutely valid, especially with the buildings and stuff getting so tight. The population is getting pushed inwards. And we have property down there in St. Augustine, which used to be Fruit Cove, the old Palatka area. And I'm telling you now, there has been some things out there that's been happening to my dad recently that is unexplained. Noises, things moving around, and just stuff that shouldn't be happening. Now, I will tell you that the baby crying and that, like for instance, the mimicking. Now, Wendigos, Skinwalkers not so much, but the Wendigo for sure. Mothman shows up before a travesty. But the Wendigo, especially, I've heard, and the Bigfoot, they mimic. Like, I know a story about a guy who his wife was, folding laundry out there in the Virginia area. And the man heard his wife call him, but she was calling him from the tree line. As he starts walking out, she says, "Hey, where are you going?" He turns around and said, "Well, I just heard you in the woods." Now, that could have been anything, but a lot of people think that's the chirp chirp of a swamp ape, Bigfoot, dogman, whatever. But we do know that these entities, you guys have the same like mind as me. I know that the cultural and the community, we all believe these things can mimic sound of people. They can mimic voices, babies crying. I've heard that a lot. Screams, blood curdling screams in the woods. So
Dead relatives too.
dead relatives, So there's another report before the siege of Hanoi. If you guys don't know what that is, I'd suggest you look that up. But there was a report of a Bigfoot scare in West Virginia, and the family was being assaulted, what they thought was Bigfoots. Now, people don't ever give the Wendigo credit or the Skinwalker credit, but I'm gonna tell you something real scary. There was no people out there because they live in such a rural area. We're talking about for 20 miles on each side, there's nobody around. Now, there could be vagrants or whatever, but this was too methodical. Human beings do things, but there's just ways they don't, where they were getting thumped on, knocked on, their windows were getting knocked on, things were knocking on their cabin, and they had floodlights. They had a modern cabin. They were screaming at these things. They were firing off shotgun rounds. The things were throwing rocks at them through the tree line. Well, they the next day they woke up after one of these sieges, and they had sticks all in their yard, all around their yard, all around their yard. There was these sticks, and nobody understood what the sticks meant. They were X's. They were little sticks stuck at the ground at X's, and they were all around the yard, almost like a little miniature fence. Well, that night they had moved them. They didn't know what they were, but there was a few left. The woman went out, one of the wives, because there was a family of three families living in this place, two families. One of the wives went outside. It was almost dark. It's about sunset, and the floodlight came on. And she's like, as she looked down, and it was right there at the stick. So whatever was coming to the house, they were marking the IR beams of the floodlights with the sticks. And all the sticks were in that radius around that. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much, they're smart creatures, whatever they are. Let's agree on that. I believe they're evil.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they're evil with evil, but I know that they have evil intent. They can't be friendly. They're not like Casper over here, the friendly ghost, right? So
There's a possibility it could have been feral people. Where I know you said you grew up in the Carolinas,
that's
so
right. There is some feral people and there are some wild people, but at the end of the day, the knocks, the footprints they found, it just suggests evidence of a creature. Just the scat. So it just depends, but it could be feral people are still a thing that no one really talks about. That's scary too, because these people really aren't modern. They're just wild. It can be very dangerous. But yeah, that's where we're at with that.
I had a kind of one here about 7, 8 months ago. It was about March, April last year. And I was coming. I just got home from work, and I was working days at that time with that new local company, and I get ready to go inside. I get out of the truck. I think I was talking to you, and then I get off the phone, and I hear my grandmother calling my name out in the woods. Richard could tell you I don't live in the boonies, but I live far enough out that we got a lot of woods around us. And I hear my grandmother calling my name from way out in the woods, and it sounds just like her. And the crazy part is, Rob, is my grandmother has been dead for 3 years.
The what?
She's been dead for 3 years, my grandmother, and I heard her last year.
See, that's a little creepy. That's not, normal.
You gotta watch your animals. So like when I let my dogs out at night, when they come back in, I'll watch them real close because they can take control of an animal really quick. And every night, every single night at about 8:30, between 8 and 8:30, all 6 of my animals go and sit by the door and just stare at the door.
Plays
Wow. Yeah, that is a little creepy, bro. We're concerned about that. We're gonna dive in real quick to a tale from the road. This comes from Fallen Angel Eyes 21. So props to you. We're gonna get right into it. I want to hear you guys. Views on this. Well, they were listening to someone tell their story on TikTok, and it reminded them of something that happened to their brother, a few and a few friends in their. They were off to their house after a day of the lake swimming, etc. It's dark, of course. We just went to the bridge out back to the road to our house. The houses are sparsely spread out along the way, and it's mainly cornfields with a river that feeds into the Ohio River. When we saw something standing off the side of the road, the headlights are illuminating it. I say, because it looked like a semi, it looked, because though it looked semi human until you see the face, oh my God, the eyes. You've all seen some animals' eyes reflect the light and it makes them kind of glow. Well, that's what whatever this thing had. There was also something off about the face, almost like it was trying hard to pretend that to be something it wasn't. Uncanny, valley goosebump, cold chills going down your spine with an icky feeling in the pit of your stomach. Made him sick, you know. My brother hits the gas. We go flying past this thing, hoping that he, get away from it. And it didn't decide to even follow us home or anything. But quite a few of us have said over the years when telling their encounter story, there's something that lives within the forests of the Appalachian that's been here long before us and will be here most likely after us, long thereafter. Now that's another. There you go from the Appalachian. Now, what gets me about this story and what Richard had said, L29 said earlier was the thing was trying to mimic its face like it was something it wasn't. So are we talking about a skinwalker here? Are we talking about a wendigo or just a straight up Bigfoot? What is your thoughts on this, guys? Oh, hold on one second. Okay, we're back. We got signal again. That's why I love being able to pause this. What do you guys think about that story? Like, what's your thoughts on like what Richard said about the Wendigo and stuff? Why was this thing pretending its face to be something it wasn't? Like its face was something was off about its face, almost like it was trying hard to pretend it was something to be something it isn't. Uncanny. What's your thoughts?
I want you
Well,
to feel more comfortable so it can get you, you know? I mean,
But it's standing
you're
in the road.
scared
Why is it trying to mimic its face? Like that's weird.
because people look at the face before they look at everything else.
there's examples in nature where predators will look unsuspecting. And I believe that's a lot of what it's trying to do. Just lure its prey into a false hope.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. That's worded perfectly.
Like maybe it was trying to say, "Hey, I'm just a weird looking person. Come, I need some help." That's odd. And I know that's an Appalachian story, and that's a tale from the road or whatever. So, at the end of the day, that's why the Appalachians to me are freaky. I will not pull my truck over on the shoulder of the Appalachian Mountains. That's just me. You know what I mean? I won't
You're
pull my
missing
truck
out.
over. Nah, I'm not doing it, bro.
I do it during the day. I just won't do it at night.
Yeah, at night. No, 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 no. All
See,
right, here's a.
I'm not scared of the dark. I'm scared of what's in the dark, darn it.
That's right. I'm scared of what's in the dark. I can't see. Let's talk about another tale from the road. This came from Do Influence 1043 from a year ago. Okay. I was driving from San Diego Beach, San Diego in Reno, Nevada, to visit a friend, which is a 10 to 12-hour trip, not including traffic in LA. Yet, late during the night in the mountains areas of Bridgeport, California, going towards Reno, I saw a bright light behind me. I thought it was a cop car with the side light on, and I was wondering why it was messing with me. It came closer and got brighter and brighter until it was so bright that I couldn't even look in my rear view mirror. And it was idling next to the parking lot, parallels to the road. I was driving 60 miles an hour previous to where I was, and my friend called me on the phone and asked me what I was doing and about not coming anymore. So let's go backwards because this is a little. I thought it was a cop car. Okay, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead, take a break for just a second.
Yeah.
All right, Tadpole, you're done with your delivery, and that was the quickest 10 pallets I've ever seen. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The guy thought a cop car was messing with him and got closer. It was in his mirror as he was idling next to it in a parking lot. It parallels to the road. He was driving around 60 miles an hour previous to where he was, and his friend called him and said on the phone and asked, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And not about it coming over. I don't know what he was talking about, but basically, are you coming over anymore since it's been 3 days? I said, what are you talking
Holy
about?
smokes.
Right. He said, what are you talking about? I've been driving the whole time. I might have taken a nap for a couple hours, he repeated. Don't bother coming if you're partying in a hotel room with some girls or something. Tell me. I drove up there 3 days. In fact, it was 3 days later. I just remember doing a 10-hour trip. Basically, this guy's a former USAF graduate and officer in the United States Air Force, at what he says. And basically, here's what happened. The guy's driving, and he literally gets a phone call from his friend. Hey, dude, if you're not coming, you're being like MIA. What's going on? MIA, what do you mean? It's been 3 days. But this guy literally autopilots back into the wheel, and he's driving 60 miles an hour, but he's only been driving for 10 hours, but he's lost 3 days. And that came from that, and that came from a user called Do Influence. And the reason I kind of believe this story is because most people that post these stories or email these stories, they are anonymous with their names, and they pretty much don't give up their information, and they like to stay quiet. So, in my opinion, he's not trying to hide who he is, and he has a photo. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? What are UFOs? Tales from the road, like
No,
UFOs.
I can believe the lost time thing. The 3 days is wild. I've actually had an experience where I've lost time myself.
Yeah, you
I
were
was just
talking about that
driving
a while
around.
back.
Yeah, where I was just driving around just to kill some time, get away from the family for a little bit. Things heated it. It's shit, but whatever. So I'm just driving, get away from it all, and I end up not really paying attention to where I'm driving. And my parents live about, I don't know, about 3.5 hours from where I was living at the time. And my wife calls me, and it's been 30 minutes. She asked me where I'm at. And I'm pulling up to my parents' house. It's only been 30 minutes. So I
Wow.
don't know how in the heck that happened, but
Well, we all
it's not
have
like I
that
drove some
moment.
super speedy
Well,
car. I was just driving an
we all
SUV
have
at the
this
time.
moment. We all have this moment. Everybody who's been driving has ever had a moment where they have an autopilot type experience where you literally are driving. I know this has happened to a lot of people in like broad daylight too. You literally, are driving, and you are just like there. It's like, wait a minute, what? How did this? How did I get here? I know that a lot of people have had that experience. Seriously,
Sure, at minimum, it's like I have no idea if that light was green or if last several lights were green.
right? Like it's definitely something that's happened to me before. I've literally drove before, and I've had like I'm just driving. I'm just cruising, and I'm driving from work or something. And next thing I know, I literally am at my house or whatever, and I don't even remember the entire drive. Like I don't even know the entire drive. That's gotta happen to everybody at one point. But then sometimes in your situation, it's like, wait a minute, something odd happened here. Something was weird. Something didn't add up. Right. So at the end of the day, I do believe that there are some lost time, but is that like a prevalent dimensional shift, or is that, what is that? Like, is that a dimensional shift? Is that arduous from what we know is just, oh, we just zoned out? Or is in fact, how does that autopilot work? Well, our brains are amazing, but are they that
I,
amazing where they can just drive us all the way home and there's just an autopilot?
I can tell you this: if we could tap into that as truck drivers, we'd be making a hell of a lot more money.
No doubt. Well, I mean, or it'd be really scary because what do you think about that, Tadpole? About the autopilot? Tadpole, you there?
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I zoned out. Autopilot. Yeah. See, Yeah, I believe in that. I remember about 2 years ago, I was I was sick on top of everything, but I was trying to get home for Christmas. I was out there in Corinth, Mississippi, and I had to get all the way home to Coleman. And there's about a 200-mile drive. It's supposed to take about 2.5, 3 hours, give or take. And I don't remember none of the trip. I remember talking to my wife for a minute and then starting out, and she's freaking out because I'm there an hour later, and I don't
Wow.
remember getting there.
See, that's like
I mean, mind you, I'm sick as a dog. Got 104 fever. Come to find, I had double pneumonia and walking pneumonia and all that stuff. And
right.
uh,
It's like are we zoned out or are we just what's going on with that? Like, are we just zoned out? Like 6 cops just went by me in the scale at 100 miles an hour in the scale lane. Wow. Are we just zoned out or are we just like, are we getting not abducted per se, but like what's going on with that? Like, we're not abducted, or are we dimensionally shifting, or like what's the deal here? Like, what's the deal with that situation? Are we shifting over to another area? It's like a dimension, or are we actually just zoning out? Like, you know what I mean? It's a weird thing because I've done it before myself.
I think there's some of both of that. And like the shifting of dimensions, you can bring up the what is it called? Where like
Well, parallel dimensional shift, but does it happen while we drive on the road? Is there some energy on the road with all the wrecks and the deaths and the mayhem that's happened on these highways that there's some kind of shift where we get booted somewhere else,
I could definitely believe it, especially certain highways.
Yeah, like the 66 or the 44 or the 40 or the 90 or the 80. I mean, there's some really violent roads. And if we talk about energetic shifts on the road, we know that energy and water and spirits and all that, well, these highways have seen their share of energy. Not to mention, a lot of these highways are born on battlegrounds, Indian grounds, spiritual grounds. I mean, these highways are just built through straight mountain and rock.
Right.
There's a lot of energy there, like ley lines, maybe, I don't know. And then you've got the conspiracy theory, whether the Illuminati built the interstate system a certain way for a certain reason, I know that's way deep there. That's a conspiracy, but you guys know about ley lines and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff's absolutely legit, right? It's scientifically fact that ley lines have been proven to contain energies for physics that we know of, So
Lady Gator just flicks her tail and it causes a time warp.
be careful, buddy. Okay. I have a story from the road. L29, this is a famous story. This is one of my stories. It's one of my tales from the road, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it right here on the podcast. And we're also going to do an episode about this with music and sound effects. So it's a little creepier because I do want to get the effect, but I'll go ahead and tell it now. And I hope you guys are prepared for this because this is an absolutely true story. I want your thoughts on it, but this is an absolutely 100% true thing that happened to me. Like I said in the past, I believe I'm a touched person. I believe things reveal themselves to me sometimes. I try to ignore it. I don't like to embellish it. And also, I was terrified out of my mind when this shit happened. All right, so here we go. The tale of the crawler. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. One night I was coming home from the road, and I lived with this woman that I was about to be married to, and I don't want to say her name. Well, we were living in this house, and I'd come home from the road and I was taking some home time. I ain't been there in a while. Now, this house is in the middle of Jacksonville in a very, very haunted little area, right? And the thing about it is the area that it's in is that's a haunted, like I said, area. And there's an old abandoned house next to it. This house is this old, creepy, wooden, ancient style house where she lives there, and I'm kind of dating her at the time. So I come from over the road and I go to her house or whatever, you know what I mean? Well, she had a couple kids and all, and they were really good kids, and I loved them, and we were we were happy or whatever. Well, at the end of the day, this house always had natural light, ambient light. It was wood floor. Inside was not creepy at all. It was nice. But things started happening around her. She started doing a lot of drugs. And she started bringing a lot of creepy people over. I mean, really creepy people. You guys know the type. I mean, they were just weird people, and they always had these issues. And because she used their pills, she became a drug addict. It was very sad, and she used pills to like control people and stuff. And I was trying to make sure the kids were safe, and she would use those pills to make people clean her house and stuff like that. So let's fast forward. I'm home on home time. I go to her house and I'm chilling. Well, she says, "Hey, good morning. I bought you a PlayStation 3 or whatever." And I'm just like, "Okay." And she's like, "Go ahead and play it, hang out. I'll see you later." So she leaves the house. I'm all alone. I've never really been alone there, but it's always been a welcoming, inviting area until these people. Okay. It was always nice. I've been dating her for a while. So I'm in there playing the PlayStation, and it was like, this is the first day. And I'm in there playing, I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm playing, and I start getting this really, really nauseous feeling, bro. Like this really creepy, nauseous feeling. And so what happens is I start feeling like something's trying to like choke my air. And I don't understand what's happening. I'm thinking, am I having a panic attack? Am I anxiety? Like what's going on? Well, remember how I told you, like, okay, you go in the house, it's a living room. It's a nice big living room, all wood. You go further back, that's the dining room. To the left is the kitchen. But before that, in the living room, there's a hallway that leads down to one bathroom to the right, one bedroom to the left, one bedroom to the left, and then a bedroom to the far right. And then the back thing is a laundry room, okay? And this is always a lit up area. It's sun comes in there like crazy through the left side of the house, beaming in. Well, I just started feeling this terrifying feeling like you need to get out of this house. You need to get out of this house. You need to get out of this house. And I look down the hallway and I see this darkness starting to form, like a shadow in the back of the house moving towards me slowly. And it's not fast, and it's not the sun, and it's not a shadow. It's literally the house is getting black, 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 and it's moving towards me. And I'm like, oh my God, and I just got out of the house. So I'm a grown man, and I stand outside that house for about 3 hours on that porch until she comes home and she says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I can't go back in there. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's up. These people you done brought over, I don't know, something's up." We go in the house, there's nothing wrong. What do you mean? I was like, "You don't understand." I tell her what happened. "Well, I don't know. That's kind of weird." Meanwhile, the creepy house next door that's been abandoned, it's just old, nasty, wooden, dirty, white, old house. It's got old wooden windows and it's just creepy. And the landlord uses it as storage, but it used to be a house that people lived in. Well, the next night, now, I'm gonna tell you a little other backstory. The kids were kind of rambunctious because their mama was rambunctious, and I had took a hook and locked these kids in their room. One of those pantry hooks, where you put the circle thing in, Richard, and you put the hook in the circle thing. Well, you know what I'm talking about, where it's a metal hook and okay. Well, I screwed it. Anyways, these kids would break out of the room at night, and I got tired of it, and I knew I could break it open in a fire and all, but they couldn't get out. It was a safety thing. So that night, I get, wake up, Robert, wake up. I was like, what? I need you to come here quick. I just run in there and I see the oldest kid. His name will remain unnamed. And he's sitting in the middle of the kitchen at 3 a.m. It's about 3:10 a.m. He's in the kitchen in the floor and he's rocking back and forth Indian style. And he's acting creepy and he's singing to himself. I don't know what he's singing, you know? But here's the really creepy, scary part. Every single knife in the entire house, from butter knife to butcher knife to every kind of nasty knife you could ever think of, was in a circle pointed outwards around him from biggest to smallest knife in a giant circle. This kid's 4 years old.
Oh my God.
Okay, now he's in the middle of this kitchen floor singing, and every knife in the house is around him in a circle. And I'm sitting, she said, "What do we do?" I said, "I don't know, man. I rebuke it in the name of Jesus." And he opened his eyes and he looked up and I just picked him up. And it was like, I'm strong. This kid's big, but I'm strong. This kid's 4. I couldn't get him. And I yanked him. And I said, "Man, And I said, let's go to bed. And we put the knives up. We were talking about it. I said, girl, you got to quit bringing these demon people up in your house because something's going on in here. She's crying. Everybody's crying. Well, the last incident, the third night, we go to bed. Oh, by the way, when I take the kid to the room, I go to open the door and I can't because the latch is still latched. And I'm 6'3" and the latch is about 6'4" in the air, and that's on the other side of the door. And somehow the latch is still latched, son.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And I'm thinking that, I don't know, how did he do that? How did he latch it? He's 3 foot tall.
Well, what if it's not him?
Because they would get out of that room all the time. They'd be opening that door and they couldn't open it at night. You hear them banging on it. And it was weird that they would do that for a while. They were like banging on it, like, let us out, but they couldn't get out. They were little babies, 3 and 4 years old. Well, the next night, we're in the house and we're going to go to bed. I put the kids in the room. I lock the door. I make sure that hook's locked because I don't want them breaking out of the room, getting knives and sitting in circles and singing weird chants. And there was this feeling about 2:00. I opened my eyes and about 2:30. I started feeling really weird again. And Trey, I don't want to say that, my bad. The girl is awake and she's like, just kind of sitting there, just looking at me like, oh my God, something's up. And I look, and the bedroom is facing the hallway and the left and out. If you go out of our room and to the adjacent left, that's the kids' room. Well, that's when I saw the black dark house, because it's night, get even blacker. And that's when I saw the hand. There was a creature or an entity or a shadow figure crawling on the roof of the house towards the kids' room, and it creeped around the corner and looked at us. That was so black, I could make out the body because we had like ambient light, but we could make out the body. You could make out a head, and I stood up real fast, and you could almost see it creak its head upside down, like, and then it smiled at me, and I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing. Like I couldn't comprehend what was happening. It was like, I know I believe in God, but this was like, I've never seen something like this. I've seen spirits, but I've never seen something like this. And so it starts crawling. Well, when I stood up, it kind of backed up a little after it smiled at me. I thought it smiled. It was almost like you kind of put it on there because it was a voidless shadow person, but I could see its hand. I said, "Do you see that? Don't give it any power. Don't give it any power." I'm like, "Do you see that? Don't give it any power." And I got the Bible out and I start reading the Bible and I start praying. And it was like the house vibrated, man. And it was like really weird and it got really creepy. And we heard a bang, 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 bang. Well, it all of a sudden all the light went out. Like it was fine. I grabbed the kids. I told the girl, I said, let's go. I'm out of here. Okay. I'm a redneck from the hood. I ain't playing this. So I'm gone. So I get up out of there. We stay at a hotel. But as we're leaving in the middle of the night, remember that creepy house I told you about? Every window, every door was open.
Oh my goodness.
That was the bang we heard. I never went back to that house again. I dated her. I stayed in a hotel that night. I went back to my house. She stayed there another 3 months. And then she ended up moving out because the kids started getting scratched.
Oh my God.
And now when that happened to me, it's like I know God's real for sure, even though I already did. Because if something like that exists, there has to be a light. And when I started saying the Bible, or maybe I just started speaking the Bible, maybe I just started praying to God, it went away. It fled, but it wasn't going with, I don't know, man. It was going after the kids, man. And I don't think it meant for us to see it, but I could see it.
It usually doesn't.
Well, I saw it, and I saw the arm. See, imagine it's upside down, and our room's right there. I could see this hand and this arm like it's grabbing and like it's mountain climbing. That's when I saw the hand, and man, I wept. I wept. I cried. I literally when I was crying, like it made me weep. It made me weep. I'm a man enough to admit it made me cry. I get chill bumps right now. And
Me too.
I've never seen some shit like that. I've seen really weird shit. I've seen what I believe are spirits. I've heard spirits. I really have had some things happen to me. And don't ever let my mama talk to you and tell her she had a dream about you. No offense, mama, if you listen. We love you, mama. But my mama is touched too. Don't let her tell you she had a dream about you. Now you don't want to hear it. But that happened, and the knife. The thing about the knives, man, that I don't know if it was trying to attach itself to the children. It was trying to possess them because at the time they might not have been saved. Remember, I just started dating her. I don't know. But what I do know is none of that happened until she started inviting these really evil people into the house. A few of these people that used to come over to the house, one of them killed a guy, stabbed him with a knife in the head. Another one of these people that came over beat another man to death with a hammer in a homeless camp. And another girl dated a serial killer in Jacksonville, Florida, that come over to the house. And those are the
You gotta be
people she
careful.
had. Well, hey, and so that, and I was mad, I was fighting her, and these people, you don't know these people, but it's them drugs, man, that make people do crazy stuff. But that happened to me, and it was just so scary, man. It was so surreal, and it was so honestly terrifying that to this day, I will never forget that as long as I live. And it was the knife thing, the blackness in the house. I don't know if something was trying to get me too, like, because I'm saved. It can't possess me, but can it afflict me? Of course. So it was
Right.
messing with me. It was definitely messing with me, but I like to get things alone. But when it revealed itself that night, all right, thoughts, guys. I'm going to shut up for now. I've talked a lot. I want to hear y'all both talk for at least a good few minutes. I'm going to mute my mic.
When I first heard that dude, he told me I was going up here to Savannah, Tennessee, the little 2-lane roadway out there. And it's pitch black, and he's got Snoopy on the phone with us, and we're talking to him. And when he told me that, dude, he's got me looking back here in the sleeper of my truck, like making sure I don't have no freaking darkness back here, just watching me drive. And I got home, and my hair was still standing up. I look like Nugget when she's on gremlin mode. That little fin stood up on her back. My hair was standing up so much, my hat was standing up, it felt like. And I had to go say the Lord's Prayer and bless my house some more, because it said I was picturing everything in my head, and all I could think about was Insidious.
Oof.
That's all I could think about was Insidious. Remember every time that man took a picture and that lady was close to him, closer and closer every time he took a picture?
Yeah.
That's all I could think about.
I can sort of relate to this situation. Was blessed in the sense where I didn't ever see it, but I've been held down by a being that got in the home where I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe.
That's how it felt when the
And
hallway went black
it's terrifying.
The first day, middle of the day, that's how it felt, Richard. Like I couldn't breathe. Like I had to get out. It was like the guardian angel. I'm not trying to bring this podcast about God, but if you listen to this show, I do believe in God. We're all entitled to our beliefs. You don't have to believe in God and know ghosts are real. So I'm not trying to dissuade people from listening, but you know what? I'm telling you, it was like something was telling me, get out. It was like I could not breathe. It was like I could not move, and I couldn't move, and I had to get out at the same time. It was and I've never, ever felt like that before, man. And the knife thing with the kid in the middle of the floor and every single knife in a circle. He's 4 years old, man. Matter of
I
fact,
feel
the
like
kid,
he was trying to distract you from the youngest
I,
one with the older one.
yeah,
honestly, when you were telling the story, I know it's probably just media and me imagining it, but I imagine little one rocking back and forth, speaking in Latin. I
I don't
know
know
it's
what it
overdone,
was.
but
No. It could have been. I don't know what it was, and I could not pick him up off the floor. But he didn't grab a knife or nothing. But I don't know what he was saying. It was like, hold on, I had the thing cut off. It was like muttering. It was like he was singing, but he was muttering. He was muttering. He was singing, but he was muttering. It was so scary. And the knives. That was what was really freaky. You know what I mean?
oh, absolutely. It, it even if you just look at it as just a parent, it's like what the heck is going on with my
Well, I love
kid?
this kid. I knew him for like 6 months this time, and the other one was 3. He was just turned 4. They were pretty close in age, and he was in the middle of the floor going, oh, man, and he had his hands like he was meditating, but he was not. And then he had his legs crossed, and all the knives, butter knife, and then it was like pointy knife, butcher knife, cleaver. It was like every knife in the house, all in a circle around him, all behind him too, all facing outwards. You know, all facing
Yeah,
out. I don't know, man.
and
It was just not cool. I didn't like it.
it's not. It's
And when that thing
uh,
revealed itself to me, it did it on purpose to
oh,
scare me.
absolutely, because they feed on fear.
That's what I told Miles. It feeds on fear. And she was telling me, don't give it any power. But I'm sitting here like, well, you let it in the house when you let these people in the house. And let me tell you something, guys. Be careful what you do out here in this world because there's evil that roams. I've said this before. But when things find a doorway, okay, a doorway into your house, or a window. Like sometimes, okay, we all like scary movies. We all watch those possession movies sometimes. Some of us do. But when they start doing all that, they start doing all that
Cut it
chanting,
off.
I don't let that play in my house because I really believe that it could be. I mean, these directors, they want to scare people. It's got to be real. Okay, maybe it is real. Maybe they got it from something and they want to read it because they think it sounds cool, but it's actually something evil. I don't know. The Satan moves in mysterious ways, and he can move through any kind of channel. He walks the earth. So
Oh, absolutely.
in my opinion,
There's
you got to be careful with that stuff.
there's documented evidence in the music industry where these artists give their lives to Satan, and all of a sudden they are blowing up on the Billboard charts. Probably the same in the movies.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this podcast up. I'll go ahead and leave the floor real quick with L29 Richard, trucker out of West Virginia. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Because we're going to let him be he's a reoccurring co-host. This man's going to be on the show probably a lot, guys. I hope you get to know him. I think he's a fun guy. I think he has a lot of insight. I think he has a lot of great ideas. And we're really happy to have the guy. Do you have anything to say to the listeners before we sign off?
Keep the shiny side up and the greasy side down. Stay safe out there.
And Miles?
Be careful what you say and do, especially with little ones around, because you're a reflection of them, and they all pay attention.
Absolutely. And guys, this has been your guy on the road. Check us out on Tales from the Road Media Facebook group. Check us out on Tales from the Road Media at gmail.com. And check us out at your guy on the road at gmail.com. Until next time, guys, remember, so the truth is out there to survive and stay alive. Guys, don't hang up your dials. We're going to get this audio track. It's been real. It's been fun. Till next time, peace.